Bad news for boba milk tea and matcha lovers out there. Your favorite drink in the afternoon might not be good for your sleep. But if you're someone like me who loves drinking something sweet after lunch, it can be a bit difficult to resist a creamy matcha latte or boba milk tea. I did that so many times because I thought it's only 1 p.m. Even though later I knew that matcha after lunch made me struggle to fall asleep and feel sluggish the next day. We already know that caffeine can affect our sleep, but what's interesting is that the same drink and timing can affect two people very differently. That's partly because caffeine stays in our bodies for several hours, but for some people, it clears much more slowly than others. And I think that's where generic health advice becomes interesting. We often hear advice like avoid caffeine before bedtime. For example, one study looked at how caffeine taken at different times before bed affects sleep quality. Participants took caffeine at different occasions, right before bedtime, 3 hours before bed, and 6 hours before bed. What they found was that even when caffeine was consumed 6 hours before bedtime, it still reduced sleep quality and shortened sleep duration. So general health advice like avoid caffeine after a certain time can be helpful, but we need to learn how our own bodies respond to caffeine. If you think caffeine might be affecting your sleep, you could start a small experiment. Try changing either the drink or the timing and notice how your body responds to that. For example, maybe coffee after lunch affects you, but tea doesn't. Or caffeine after 2 p.m. affects your sleep, but caffeine at 11 a.m. doesn't. The goal isn't to find the perfect routine, it's to understand our own patterns better. And if you want to go a bit further with that, a sleep diary can be surprisingly helpful. I used to keep track of my sleep more systematically with a detailed sleep diary, and I found that like small day-to-day habits such as what I did right before bedtime could show up later in my sleep. You may want to explore diaries from reliable sources or have a look at a sleep diary that I find useful linked below. It's also worth noting that not everything that affects your sleep will show up neatly in a sleep diary, so you may want to tailor the sleep diary in a way that feels relevant and helpful to you. So the activity of keeping track of your sleep feels less like filling in the blank boxes perfectly, but more about staying curious about what might be getting in the way and what might be helping your sleep routines. Our body is already giving us useful feedback, but at times we may not be paying attention to them enough. So if you're interested in this reflective approach to health and self-care, you might enjoy my other video on how self-reflection can be helpful, but at times keeps us stuck. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you again next week.